On Friday, you came home with a Unit 1 exam review sheet. The following are the answers to the 10 questions on those sheets. Which of the following numbers is furthest from 0 on the number line? Well, the first thing that comes to my mind is absolute value. All I need to do is find the absolute value of each one, and that will tell me how far away from 0 it is. Or I could draw a number line and just plot the numbers and count how many spaces away from 0 it is. And as you can see, positive 8 has the greatest distance from 0 from any of the other choices. Ordering negative numbers is never easy. However, you can use a number line to help you. And then you can use the trick of, well, if it's negative, the greater looking the number is, the less value it has. So as you can see, the answer is B. Negative 1/2 is less than negative 4/10, which is less than negative 3/10. In this question, we have to match up the opposites. So if I look at letter A, negative 2, the opposite is positive 2. Negative 1 would have an opposite of positive 1. But I notice that there is no dot on the positive 1. Okay, then we have here letter C is probably around a negative 1/2. And again, the positive 1/2 would be its opposite, but there's nothing plotted there. So the two letters that are opposites are A and E. Here's another question about ordering negative numbers. And again, I can draw a number line to help me, or I could use the trick that it goes from least to greatest, but in the negative, it's going to look like it's going from greatest to least. But really, the bigger the number that it looks like, but if it's in the negative, it's less value. So that's why A is the correct answer. It's going in order from least to greatest. Remember, the further away I go from 0 on the negative, the less value the number has. Okay, in order to find common multiples, I just start counting by that number. So I started counting by 12, I started counting by 8, and then I matched up any common multiples, and that was 24. And the least common multiple is the first common multiple there is. And the first common number that 12 and 8 have is 24. So the LCM of 12 and 8 is C, 24. Okay, opposites and absolute value of 12. If I look at 12, that's a positive 12. The opposite of positive 12 is negative 12. So I can get rid of anything with both positive 12s. So I know C is out. And so the opposite has to have a negative 12 in it, which is A, B, or D. And then the absolute value of 12, I know absolute value is always positive because it's just how far away 12 is from 0. And it's a positive 12 jumps from 0 or spaces. So anything with two negatives is going to be out as well. So I'm left with A and B. And the answer is clearly B because the absolute value of 12 is not 0. It is the distance from 0, but it's not 0. So the answer is B. Question 7. It asks you to put these numbers in orders from least to greatest. And this is where the number line comes in handy. I immediately drew a quick number line. I plotted all the points on the number line. And I know my number line, when I draw it out, it goes from least to greatest from left to right. And all I did was write out all the numbers that I plotted, and I immediately plot them out from least to greatest. Remember to read your questions carefully. This question is asking which is not a factor of 36. Not what are the factors of 36. So I do my factor tree, and I compare up 1 and 36. I compare up 2 and 18, 3 times 12, 4 times 9, and then 6 times 6. And I notice that 3 is a factor, so that's canceled out. 6 is a factor, that's canceled out. And 36 is a factor. 72 is larger than 36, so it can't possibly be a factor. Nothing times 72 is going to give me 36. No whole number times 72 will give me 36. So therefore, 72 is not a factor. It turns out 72 is actually a multiple. Now I need to figure out where is 1/3 on a number line. Well, I know 1/3 is less than a whole. It's also a positive 1/3. So I am looking for a plotted point in between 0 and 1. A can be crossed out because this is plotted as a negative. So A is out. That says negative 1/3. So I'm looking at either B or C. I look at C and I see the number 3. 3 wholes. No way. 1/3 is between 0 and 1. So the only possible answer is B. Here's another question where a number line will help us. So George placed the numbers -1/2, 2/10, and 7/10 on the number line. So I went ahead and plotted those points. Once I plotted the points on the number line, I can see which one is furthest from 0. So once I've plotted the numbers on the number line, I can see that 7/10 is the furthest away from 0. Why not -1/2? Well, -1/2 is equivalent to 5/10, or -5/10. So -5/10 is not as far away as +7/10. So you can also convert fractions to decimals or decimals to fractions to help you plot them on the number lines.